Genesis chapter 3. In Genesis chapter 1 and 2, God creates a world and then puts his image in that world. Human beings are his image. In chapter 2, he gives his image, that's human beings, their marching orders. What are we supposed to do in our role in God's good world? And that is to tend and cultivate and take this garden that God created and spread it out over the whole earth. And that garden is a picture of God's rule and authority. And so God creates on the first page of the Bible human beings, gives us his authority to bring order. That's chapter 2. Bring order to this good world and spread out God's rule and order all over the earth. Well, in chapter 3, we see that human beings fail at this task. The job description that we've been handed, Adam and Eve fail at bringing authority and order into the garden. There's a serpent, and that imagery of the serpent is the picture of evil, darkness coming into the Eden project, coming into the garden. And Adam and Eve put themselves under the authority of that evil presence. And instead of taking authority that God had given to them and ruling over all of these creatures, they actually put themselves under. They subjugated themselves to this creature. And so because of that, mankind felt the fallout of that disobedience to God's created order. So from then on, the rest of the Bible, we start to see the result, the consequences of that action. We start to see the consequences and the fallout of mankind being placed under the rule of sin, being placed under the rule of evil, the God of the present evil age, as Paul says in 2 Corinthians 4:4, that the minds of human beings have been blinded to that darkness, even in our sin. And so we see that on the third page of the Bible. But in that same chapter of chapter 3 of Genesis, we also see a promise that there will be one, a seed of the woman that will come and will destroy this serpent, will crush his head, will destroy darkness, will destroy death, will destroy evil completely. And that is the first prophetic word of Jesus. So in Genesis chapter 3, we see human beings after Genesis 1 and 2, they are placed in a garden, given authority and order, but they put themselves under the rule of another, other than God. And here's the really big point of all of this is God was the only one we were supposed to give our allegiance to. He's the only one we were supposed to subjugate ourselves to, and that is to be under his rule. And so because we've been placed under the rule of the God of this age, Jesus had to come through his death and resurrection, give us power. Not only that, but to set us free, as Paul, the Apostle Paul says, to set us free from sin and the power and slavery of sin. Romans chapter 6, to be set free, not only from the trespasses and individual acts of sin, but the very power of darkness and the principalities and powers that try to rule over mankind. And so Genesis 3 is a picture of Adam and Eve, their allegiance to God being tested, them failing that test, and the fallout from it. And we start to see that immediately in chapter 4 next time. But that's what chapter 3 is all about.